Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Noopur, and I'm back at Innovation Roots Studio with another interesting discussion. And today I have a special guest, Mr. Amit Saxena, who has been ex-CTO at Reserve Bank Innovation Hub. He's been a global chief technology officer with over 25 years plus of experience in strategy formation, short and long term goals planning, application development, implementation, stakeholder management, product development, and business management. And currently, he is doing management and technology advisory to many startups in India and outside. So, really happy to have you with us, Amit, and looking forward to this discussion with you.
Thank you very much for having me on your show itself today. It's a pleasure.
So, in this discussion, Amit, we will touch upon the significance of agile, emerging technologies, and innovation for banking. And to start with, let me put this that today our expectations from a bank has drastically changed. It's drastically different compared to a decade back, right? So, can you please share your views on this journey of banking becoming technologically advanced and information transfer and payment processing being so fast now? I mean, I think faster than ever.
Right. And I would take you back 10 years when we used to do banking, right? At that time, internet banking have emerged and, people have started using uh, banking through internet banking. Banks used to do a survey whether you would be able to, kind of use a mobile for trying to do a banking transaction, right? And those survey always come in a negation, right? By saying, I won't use my mobile for doing a banking transaction. I am happy doing it onto a computer at the safety of my house, right? And move forward 10 years, if you see, now every transaction is being done through mobile itself, right? That's a change what country have seen, and this change have been kind of went into a MotoGP mode after 2016, right? When the demonetization happened and when people were sort of enabled to do a digital transaction, and what a journey it has been, right? And if you see, that kind of a journey has not been envisaged by anybody. Even ourselves, we were surprised with the number of transactions and the volume. So if you see uh, and it's the most contribution has come in from UPI for a small ticket transaction, less than 300 rupees. Now people have started doing larger amount transaction onto UPI also. But you see, the basic change in habit, and changing a habit of a customer is very hard. You get used to doing something in a manner which is very hard to change it, right? But as a country, we are a country of a very young population, average age of 35 years, and all these people have kind of taken up this digital transaction so into their arm, and they have started doing it. Banks have changed themselves, right? Banks understood it's a two-way path itself. So if the customers are ready to embrace a change, banks have also changed themselves, and they have changed themselves at the speed which have never been seen across the world, right? It's not, you still have countries and banks where the interbank transfer is not possible, right? So, or intrabank, which means if I have got a bank with, if I've got a, I'm a customer of a bank A and you're a customer of bank B, still there are countries where the transaction won't go through, right? And which we have done years earlier, right? And then we have made it 24 cross 7, right? If you see, all transactions in our country are not dependent on banking hours, right? Why this change has happened? Because this generation, what we call as a millennial, they have done it because they have got this, they have got this instant gratification kind of a attitude, right? If they want it, they want it now itself, right? Now and here only, right? So that has made a lot of a difference. Banks have invested very heavily into their infrastructure upgrade, right? because the volumes have jumped very highly. The only time when you would have seen a bit of a fluctuation in banking transaction when you are trying to do a Tatkal railway ticket. Now, a lot of people do not, they still use Tatkal, but you won't find a glitch out there, right? So earlier the volumes were few millions on 10 a.m. every day when the Tatkal window opens. Now that volume have also increased, but you won't find a glitch itself, right? Because banks have invested heavily onto the payment gateway. They have find the newer way how to reroute their traffic at that particular time of the day to different servers so that they are able to handle the customers very well. And when it comes, you touched upon a very interesting point about a payment itself, right? And payment have certainly changed drastically in the country itself with the help of UPI as a backbone, because the basic uh, thought behind UPI was to scale it to population, which we have achieved. Right, that's the way good products should be built. We have got a world class product in UPI, wherein we are able to give it to anybody and everybody with the help of PMJJY accounts and the accounts penetration and the banking services being made available to everybody in the country. That's why we are able to do the payments space that well. You would see that's only a step forward. You would see payments is only one part of the story, but we have to see, and I do talk a lot about it. And when we have built Yono as a banking platform, which was the first digital bank in SBI has done, what we have done that we want to give that kind of experience to a customer that you should be able to, you should feel a wow factor itself, right? So the thought behind is that if you are a frequent traveler and you are going around the world, and next time when you are landing back in India at the Mumbai International Airport, you should get a notification saying welcome back to India, and we are giving you 300 rupees voucher for your foot massage itself, right? That's called added value added services from banks. You would start seeing it. Banks have started moving in that direction. In place of having a simple debit and credit transaction provider, banks themselves have started thinking themselves as a full service provider, right from your living and your experiences and aspiration, what banks are working towards. That's why you would see a lot of banks have started providing services to their customer on the go itself, right? So that is a change which you would see, and obviously all these changes are happening because banks have started, kind of uh, understanding their customer well, understanding the persona of a customer, how well a customer. So if you are a foodie and you are spending a lot of money by ordering on, some of these sites to order your food, uh, in coming days you would see that you would get a different experience, right? It's not about, so what you have got after ordering food, right? You get one voucher after four food order, right? But that's something which has been given by the platform. What bank have provided you, right? So next time, so there would be a culinary festival happening in your city. You may get a pass for that, kind of a thing, because that's data which is being, kind of being, um, uh, kind of being understood by the bank in that manner.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have touched upon many interesting aspects of this journey of digital innovation in banking. I remember, Amit, I mean, if I go back to 10, 12 years back, we used to use our debit cards to make the payment, and they used to ask the grid uh, alphabets, right? And I was so scared of putting it online on a portal. So, yeah, I mean, that's an amazing journey that we have passed through. And I'm moving on to the next question, which is somewhere related to what I have just shared as an experience as well. It's about responding to the regulations, right? So, How as an industry can you respond to new regulations and still be able to innovate, right? Or if I have to put it in different words, how one can ensure that innovation doesn't come in a way or it doesn't come at the expense of consumer protection.
Right. And let me say this, that the regulator in a country is the most agile regulator whom you would find. And because I've got experience working with different regulators across the world itself, I can tell you our regulator is very agile and very customer centric and very supportive of the banking as an ecosystem. Right? They are always on their toes when it comes to kind of understand what are the current needs. Right? That's why if you see the progress path on what we are, it's not been done. And without the regulator, because regulator become a umbrella body to make sure that not every bank is of the same size or having a same risk appetite, right? Regulators do have to consider the you know, last connection on a chain in a banking ecosystem to see everybody's interests are well understood. However, when it comes for doing innovation into the banking space, and a lot of fintechs out there, they do they have got a very amazing thought process when it comes to building a innovative product for providing, say for example, giving a uh, lending habits or giving a loans to people, right? Or trying to build a agri-business loan for giving it to people associated with agriculture, right? However, they do not very well understood uh, the regulation around it. They have read part of it, but they do not understand the understanding between the lines itself. Right? So for example, when we are you are trying to do opening an account, the regulation says that you should be able to keep those records for next 7 years within the banking, if you have got a banking license, right? So if you have not understood that part, then you would build an application wherein you are able to onboard a customer, but you missed where to keep that data, right? Then your cost obviously would increase, because as the volume would increase, then keeping that storage, maintaining that storage, and then there are multiple audits. Those audits are being done to safeguard the interest of a customer. Do not look at those audit that they are being done to kind of they are there as a directive principle to safeguard the interest of a consumer, because at the end of day all banks are responsible to their customers itself, right? So if somebody is trying to kind of uh, cut short a process itself, then regulators and the audit should be able to find it out. The uh, and I do speak to a lot of fintechs itself, and sometimes they feel flabbergasted that why so many steps are needed for completing a simple process. It has nothing to do with that. Those are there to kind of dishearten you, but they are there for keeping a very safe and sound banking as an ecosystem, right? So more early you understand that part of a thing, it becomes very easy to innovate, right? The other part of thing is which I do talk a lot about it when it comes for a technology solution, right? So a lot of fintechs and startups do build their solution, and there are three thumb rules which you have to see, right? That you have to communicate from your platform to a banking platform in an encrypted manner, right? That's rule one, right? If you are building it plain text kind of a thing, so the security team won't close it, right? The other thing is that whenever you are sending that data uh, in a packet, that also needs to be encrypted, right? And this makes people think why you have got double level of encryption, because if you are doing it on a SSL layer, then it's one level, right? Now you are not using AES 256 encryption to start with. That's bad. But if you are using AES 256, still your packet data should be encrypted, which is going within that tunnel itself, right? That's number two. The number three is that whenever you are trying to do a north-south communication, so if two systems within a banking system are talking to each other, which are east and west, they cannot talk to north and south. So when you are architecturing your solution, you have to see to it that you understand these three thumb rules for any banking or any bank IT system to accept your solution. Now we have seen people build the solution and they do a POC with the bank, and then banks say, please do implement this also, and this also. At that time, putting anything at the end of a life of a product life cycle, it costs a lot of money. If you inbuilt it in the start, it becomes very easy for you. And because we are using this forum to have a good um, spread among fintechs and startups, so that they would understand this point very clearly. This is only for banking as an ecosystem. It's not needed for other ecosystems, right, where things work a bit differently.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for highlighting some of the aspects that, as a layman, I wasn't aware of, like the thumb rules, three thumb rules that you have highlighted. That's quite interesting, Amit. Now coming back to another aspect of it, right now, agile implementation is happening in each and every industry and bringing some great results. So, can you please share or highlight your views on the importance and the need of traditional banks partnering with the agile fintechs or the agile service providers, you may say, to develop new products and services? What kind of a difference they bring?
So agile is there for some time, right? And I can talk about. So there are a lot of banks who use, or most of the banks use agile in one way or another. Agile methodology, right? So they do have every morning startup meetings talking about what are the three things which we have to fix today, and then they would work. So IT teams do a lot of those agile things in their day in day out tasks, and this is across the board, whether it's a public sector bank or whether it's a private sector bank. They have adapted to it. Why? Because they have to reduce their time to market kind of a thing for a product what they are trying to launch, right? So and but at the same time, there are certain aspirations also which needs to be completed, and that is, it's a work in progress currently, wherein you would see most of the banks do talk a lot about DevOps implementation as a part of their agile methodology. Now that DevOps has only completed first three steps of a DevOps, which means automated deployment till automated deployment, right? So it has not gone beyond it, right? Wherein the whole DevOps methodology, agile methodology, what you have to see is to find out what are the challenges in a particular journey, and what time that journey is going to get mature, and how many people are going to use it. If you are getting some problems due to the load, how you are going to handle it, right? So it's a work in progress, you would see. And Indian banking system is very agile to adopt agile. Let me say it this way, because they have understood that if they do not adopt those methodologies. So some of the banks work on a garage concept, wherein they say garage concept is a concept wherein you identify a journey, and then you say, okay, this is a journey which we have to reimagine, and then they do a sit down, and in next 7 days they would reimagine the journey and give it back to IT for development, right? So that's a way agile methodology is being used within the banks, some of the largest banks itself, right? But at the same time, when um, there's I have seen some of the two things which I aspire to our banking ecosystem to work upon is improve on the UI UX interface, right? So you know things which are catchy, which are kind of which attract customer to do banking. And some of the banks have done a amazing, wonderful job. Like Yono itself, it's a different color theme altogether when it comes for building, customer-centric journey. The other thing, what banks have to also imagine, some of them have done a wonderful job, and that a journey should be completed in three-step process. Very hard to imagine, but consider. I would give you an example, right? So Say for example, you have to do your KYC, right? You walk into a bank and you provide your PAN card, Aadhaar card, and you complete it. But you are already a bank customer itself, right? This data is already available, right? So now you are doing this KYC for getting a loan itself, right? Now, if you every time you would do a new loan, you have to go through that journey of a KYC once again, right? Wherein banking as an ecosystem should be able to fetch all this detail because your first name, last name, mother name, father name, date of birth, PAN card, Aadhaar card, these are never going to change itself, right? So that kind of information, if it is fetched automatically, filled in a form, and you get a pre-filled form for for you just to sign here and here and here, and you provide your wet signature, and your form is filled, and the only thing is that your risk rating has to be kind of um, find out by the bank, and depending on the risk appetite of the bank, they would be able to give you a loan. And if you are able to achieve this, we should be able to make a change. I touched upon a point that when I said payment is only a one step forward, right? You would see this kind of a change happening in a loan systems also. And currently, loans, you would see different type of loans, right? So there are traditional loans, car loan, auto loan, and personal loan. You would see a new range of loans being introduced by banks, and a lot of banks are thinking about it. You would see this coming 2 3 quarters. You would see some of these type of loan product coming into market along with some of the startups. They are really kind of very innovative thinking into that.
Absolutely, absolutely, Amit. And well, now touching upon another area of technology, which is the talk of the town as well. So, banking industry also continues to grow with the adoption of chatbots to ML-powered risk and decision-making models, right? So, what are some breakthrough innovations that you're expecting 5 years down the line with AI and ML solutions?
So chatbots was a fad in 2017-18 itself, right? So every bank have launched at least 3 chatbots, right? The truth is, not many people use those chatbots because they were not intelligent chatbots, right? They would be able to give you an answer basis the information which is already fed into them, right? With the AI coming into picture, you would see these chatbots would become predictive chatbots, right? They would be able to sense and talk to you in a manner wherein they. So that is one area which you would see a big usage of AI, right? You would see a AI with augmented virtual reality to help you or help the agri business as well as uh, uh, so for example, you are a very busy woman, right? You can't go hunting for a new home, right? So AI with the augmented virtual reality should be able to showcase your dream home from inside, sitting at your home, and bank should be able to provide that as a service, right? Agree, you would see that AI um, with the kind of a drone enabled yield, which banks should be. They have to send a person to a farm to see what's yield and what's how much money a farmer would be able to make, whether he would be able to return the KCC loan properly or not. You would see multiple use cases. There's a lot of talk currently nowadays, and the only thing is you have to see that banks have to um, you know uh, worry about one thing, that's a quantum computing itself. And just to let everybody know that if it, it's very easy nowadays to, so I am being recorded and somebody can make a deep fake video of mine, and using quantum computing and AI, they would make it uh, look live as well as real, right? So if a bank is trying to do a video KYC of a person, and on the other side, if somebody has produced that kind of a video, then it's very hard for. It's still few years away, but the way technology is progressing, consider it in another 3 years' time. And we have played around with all this AI for some years now to try to see. Earlier, 3 years earlier, you would see that they are unable to match a live photo with a with a so if you have caught a fish and show it on a slate, right, it can't make it out whether it's a live fish or it's a photograph, right? But if you see in 3 years time, now they are able to make a video, change the expression, and put a new voice over that video itself. So you would see both interesting and some of the concerned area which banking fraternity is already talking about, that how to handle that kind of a thing. So, but it's a very progressive kind of a technology change, which you would see. It would also change. AI would help because all this data would start flowing cross. So your car is now almost like based on sensors nowadays, right? So all your driving habits are going to change. Your reinsurance amount basis what's your speed, etc., and how many places you have been going. So a lot of use cases over there. You would see some of the very interesting use case coming forward. Some of the countries have already experimenting with it. India is at the cusp of trying to um, understand it in totality. But we have got very good technology hands in BFSI sector. You would see a lot of thought process going into there.
Yeah, interesting things that we should look out for in coming years with the help of AI and ML, I guess. And yeah, of course, there are some areas of concern. Amit, what is, according to you, is the biggest challenge for the banking industry in India as of now? And I mean, which is very important to be addressed to, like now, like immediately, sort of. And what is your recommendation to address the same?
So uh, banking industry, and this has been talked at multiple um, multiple points of time itself, right? Banks have to change themselves as a service provider than of a banking as a service. So you have heard of platform as a service, software as a service. You would see banking as a service itself, right? And that's a paradigm shift which banks are working towards it. They have understood that they cannot shy away from this because if the payment space have changed and other lending space is in the process of getting changed, if they are going to the biggest advantage what we would see from all of this, that India would be producing biggest banking products which would be used across worldwide. We would become a standard of a banking product, right? There are challenges with respect to cross-border remittance, letter of credits issuance, right, and shipping, etc. There are n number of systems which are interconnected, right? So you would see as bank would grow and bank should start doing, okay, this is my foreign services, this is my wealth management services, this is my retail customer, and this is my you know commercial customer services. So you would see bank becoming as a banking as a service model, which would happen. Not going to happen in a year or two, but we are very hopeful that this would be a state in another 5 year terms itself.
All right, Amit sir, thank you for answering these amazing um, insights and sharing your experiences with us. We are now moving on to the next round, which is going to be a rapid fire. So, to begin with, what's your go to lazy dinner?
Go to lazy dinner is I like cooking a lot itself, so I would cook it for my family and then we'll enjoy it. I'm not a very outgoing person who would like to, so when I would get time, I would relax myself by cooking food for families.
Yeah, that's amazing. What do you generally like to cook? Like, which is like quickly done for the dinner?
So we are 100% vegetarian family, so it's a lentils and vegetable or paneer would work for us, but
Yeah.
simple things itself, not very fancy thing. But my interest goes because once if you are not used to watching a lot of these channels which are only food channels, and by the way, these food channel rating have gone very high itself because there are a lot of people who are food connoisseurs itself who helping them to, and you learn something new from there, and then you try new things itself.
Correct, correct, absolutely. What's your V? AI in banking or no AI in banking?
A bit of a tricky question. AI with a lot of responsiveness and a lot of regulations built in. That's a way forward. No AI is not on the table itself.
All right. And if you have to gift a book to me, which book would you be gifting me?
So I always like Amish Tripathi a lot. I met him also, and if you have not read Shiva trilogy, try it once. It's a three book. Every is like 500, pages itself. You read it. I read it in one go. Took me 3 4 days, but it's an amazing book to read through.
Sure. I will go through that. And to close the rapid fire round, one quote that inspires you a lot, which keeps you going even in the lowest of your life.
So every day is a new opportunity. Use it wisely, right? Don't waste it. So that's what we always believe.
Yeah, that's amazing. So now, Amit, we are coming to the end of this discussion, and I would like to conclude this discussion by asking you an expert tip. We have discussed about the change in the banking industry in one last decade, and how the payments has changed, how Agile is being implemented, how AI/ML is contributing to the digital innovations, and how we see 5 years down the line such innovations happening. Now, I would like you to leave our participants with a key mantra to stay customer centric as an industry, like the banking industry, and avoid getting into unnecessary digital innovations.
So I would have word of not as a word of advice, but do not build something if it ain't broken itself, right? So if it is not broken, do not try doing a innovation around it, right? Look at those things which really need a lot of innovation, and there are a lot of processes and steps what you can short circuit over there and make. And when you are trying to do an innovation, always think of doing to scale to population kind of a thing. And if you are not thinking in that direction, so you think small, you remain small, right? You think global, you become global itself. And my best of luck to all the fintechs and startups and stakeholders who have been listening to this conversation. It's an absolute pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you so much, Amit. I thoroughly enjoyed this whole discussion, got to learn a lot of new things, and hoping that as an industry it grows and we see some wonders coming in for us as a customer. Thank you very much.
Thank you.